Everyone, and welcome back to the Football Chuggu Podcast. My name is Thomas Durning, and today I'm joined by my co-host, Pearse McLaughlin. Hello, Pearse.
Hello, how you doing?
Doing well. On today's podcast, we'll be reacting to last weekend's English Premier League and Scottish Premier League results. We'll also be reacting to the Carabao Cup final at the weekend. And at the end of the podcast, Pearse will be giving a rundown of all the latest Asian football news. So we'll start off as always with the English Premier League results. So on Friday, the 20th of March, the results finished Bournemouth 2, Man United 2. On Sunday, the 21st of March, the results finished Brighton 2, Liverpool 1, Fulham 3, Burnley 1, Everton 3, Chelsea 0, Leeds 0, Brentford 0. And then on Sunday, the 22nd of March, the results finished Newcastle 1, Sunderland 2, Aston Villa 2, West Ham 0, and Tottenham 0, Nottingham Forest 3. So, Pearse, which match stands out to you the most?
I've got to go with the Everton 3, Chelsea 0. I thought at the stadium the atmosphere was bouncing. Chelsea are a really difficult run at the moment, and I don't think I've seen Everton winning comfortably 3-0. And some of the calibre of goals was really good, especially Bertel getting a double, and then Iliman and Jai. What a finish! He has just got a little bit about him, like in terms of that little bit of silkiness, a bit of skill, and it capped the afternoon off perfectly. And I thought Chelsea huffed and puffed, but I don't think they really created anything. I don't think they even looked like scoring. And I think Liam Rossignol's having a really torrid time at the moment. You can criticise his conduct this side of the pitch in terms of like passing notes and stuff like that when they're losing. So I think he's found out the hard way that the Premier League is a massive step up compared to Ligue 1 with Strasbourg. But I thought Everton comfortable 3-0 winners over a Chelsea side that is get so much riches in it that you think they could easily win the game. And obviously it puts Chelsea out of the top five in terms of European places. So I think it's an insignificant result in that aspect.
Yep. My match is the relegation ticket match was the Tottenham 0, Nottingham Forest 3. Obviously, it was billed. I mean, Nottingham Forest at the time, they were 17th, Tottenham were 16th. So obviously, with games, only a few games left, this was built up to be a really big game. You know, I don't know if you saw the scenes before the match, but the Tottenham fans were all out in the street welcoming the team bus in, uh, wanting to let the players know that they were behind them going into this match. So it was actually, the Tottenham fans were like, they were really gearing up for this match. But as I've said about the result, a 3-0 result, a 3-0 loss to Nottingham Forest. And for Tottenham now, they're in really big trouble. I mean, they were already in trouble, but to lose that match, I mean, it puts them in even more danger. Just such a terrible result at home as well. They haven't won a match in the Premier League in 2026. Now we're nearly into April now, so that's going to be going 4 months now. It's just a terrible situation they're in right now. They appointed Igor Tudor a few weeks ago in the hope that he was somewhat of a manager that comes into teams and makes an impact instantly, but that's just not happened at all. The Tottenham players just they don't seem interested. Some of the goals I saw were just ridiculous. The second goal that Nottingham Forest score, I mean, Morgan Gibbs White was just on his own in the box, and yeah, it's really really it's a really serious situation now for Tottenham. Right now for me, which is quite crazy to say, I would say that they're probably going to go down. They're going to get relegated to the Championship. I just don't see anything. I just don't see anything in their team that suggests that they've got enough to stay up. I mean, there's no real leadership. You know, I don't see. There's not really many goals in their team as well. Um, it's just a really bad situation for them. And I do think the manager there, Tudor, I wouldn't be surprised if today or tomorrow we'll see a situation where he does get relieved of his duties. But yeah, Tottenham are in a battle for their lives to be to not be relegated. Which, if they were to be relegated, it'd be such a crazy situation. I never ever thought that would be where Tottenham they would be where they are now at the start of the season. I didn't see that. I didn't see this coming at all. But that's just what it is. And then not the Forest, it was a great result for them. Massive 3 points. They still do have they still do have work to do to stay in the league, but they'll take a lot of confidence in that going away to Tottenham and winning 3-0. Really, really big result for them. So yeah, for me that was my standout game in the Premier League at the weekend. Obviously we had the derby, the Tyneside derby, the Newcastle Sunderland. Obviously Sunderland fans will be delighted today. They won that game in the last minute with a Brian Bobby goal. Um, in Newcastle, they're not in a great situation right now. They got very badly beat during the week against Barcelona in the Champions League, and then they've just lost the derby. So I think there's a little bit of pressure right now on Eddie Howe because it's not really going so well right now um in the league. And yeah, a really big result, but for Sunderland to have had a really good season on their first return back into the top flight. So thought it was worth mentioning that one as well. But obviously we're getting into the we're now on the international break now. But after the international break, that's the last run in the Premier League. So obviously it's going to start. Teams are start going to be really pushing now. Obviously you've got the relegation battle, as I just said. You've got the fight for the top five places to get into the Champions League. So lots of stuff happening in the Premier League right now. And yet this is when it gets interesting because there's a lot more to fight for in the last weeks before the end of the season. So yeah, really look forward to it. So we'll now move on into the Carabao Cup final. So the Carabao Cup final was played between Arsenal and Man City at Wembley Stadium on Sunday, the 22nd of March. And the result finished Arsenal 0, Manchester City 2. So Manchester City have won the first silverware in England this season, the Carabao Cup final. Yep, and they won that game 2-0. So what was your thoughts on that, Pearse?
Um, I feel as if like Arsenal, like we all know, they've been the best team in the league this year, but defence they've been super solid, good for set pieces. But when it comes to actually the forward line, they're actually not that very good. Arsenal, and they've struggled for goals in terms of the fall down, in terms of Gyökeres, Saka, Martinelli, Trossard, Havertz, Jesus, Madueke. They don't score a lot of goals, so. And the tactic that Pep Guardiola deployed was like he just let the centre halves pass it amongst themselves. Don't engage in the press because they'll just play out. And Arsenal are a good side, obviously, for the middle. That's a strong point in the midfield with Declan Rice, Odegaard, and stuff like that. But I thought Pep got his tactics spot on. I thought Arteta was out fought, and they get a quick fire double through O'Reilly, and it kind of sets the match. And from that point onwards, Arsenal didn't really look like scoring. So I thought it's always going to be a real blow for Arsenal, considering they are 9 points clear, but Man City got a game in hand in the league. But the fact is that Arsenal have lost quite convincingly in a cup final, and it's been so long now since Arsenal have actually won a trophy. Um, you start to think, is the wheels coming off Arteta's bus because he keeps building every season, coming second, coming second, coming second. But there comes a point where this squad is good, but they need a better manager to then take them to the next level. And I think if Arteta doesn't win a trophy this season, if he somehow misses out in the league, um, the Champions League is etc. Getting to the latter stages, and then also losing the cup final, I don't think you would get a better chance at a trophy, in my opinion. So this season, I mean, so. But this could be a massive confidence boost for Man City. The fact is that they can beat Man City and they can show if they can just put a consistent run against other teams, then this title race could go right down to the wire. Because other than that, I thought Man City had blown this title. I think Arsenal are runaway leaders, to be honest, in the league. But in terms of cup final, it just shows you Pep Guardiola. You seen the way he was celebrating the match as if it was like his first ever trophy. And this is a man that's been there, done it, won everything there's possible to win as a manager. Um, and you can see he's still hungry for it. So, and that's Man City all off the back of a humble defeat in Champions League as well. So, just goes to show he's licked his wounds and he's won himself a trophy.
Yep. I agree with what you've said there. Obviously, this was billed to be, it's obviously the two best teams in England right now, so it was billed to be a really good game. Um, for me, going into the match, I thought Arsenal were favourites. Just with obviously previous results and stuff, I made them favourites. But the first half was a bit of a even game, really. There wasn't really anything happening. Not really any real clear cut chances. Very even. And then second half, Man City just dominated. I have no idea what happened to Arsenal. They just didn't seem to they couldn't really get out their own half. They just kept sitting back, and then when they got the ball back, they were just giving it away. And Man City just took control of that, and they got the first goal via Nico Riley. It was a really bad mistake from Kepa, the goalkeeper. He's come. It's a pretty easy catch, but he spills it and it falls to Nico Riley, who headers it in. And then, yep, that puts Man City in a good boost, a good moment, and then Man City just built on it. And then a few minutes later, again, Nico Riley scores with another header, and then from there, that was the game really wrapped up. Man City just controlled it from there. Arsenal didn't really have any moments after that. And yet Man City were deserved winners. Pep Guardiola, that's him now won the most English League Cup trophies. That's him won his fifth. Mourinho and Sir Alex Ferguson won four. So a pretty, good moment for Pep Guardiola. And as you just said there about his celebrations after it, it's good to see that, he doesn't really, think of it, oh, it's just another trophy. He looked, pretty emotional, to be fair. Delighted. Um, you know, the fact that it did look like he's won his first trophy. Uh, and yep, that'll give Man City a real confidence boost, as you just said. They've got a lot of work to do. To be fair, they're 9 points behind in the league. They're out the Champions League now. They get knocked out by Real Madrid, so they've still got the FA Cup, but it's obviously the league that they're probably hoping that Arsenal falter from. Um, they drop points, but yep, that'll give um, Man City Guardiola a really good boost. They also didn't win anything last year as well. They never won a trophy last year, so they'll be delighted that they got that League Cup trophy yesterday. And then in Arsenal, um, everyone was talking about them winning the quadruple. They're clear in the Premier League. Champions League right now, they're going really well. They're one of the favourites to win that. FA Cup. So they were in all the trophies. So everyone was getting into this League Cup final going, this is our first trophy, the quadruple. But it didn't turn out to be like that at all. They just didn't perform on the day. I was really surprised, to be fair. Um, I think Arteta, I mean, he says he isn't, but I think he might be regretting not starting David Raya in this final. I think Kepa, because I mean, you see David Raya, he is probably the best goalkeeper in the league, arguably the best in the world right now. Um, and for Kepa to make a mistake like that in the final, it just goes to show that the evidence is there that he probably should have started David Raya, because I don't think he would have made that mistake if he started. So, but Arteta said he would do the same thing again. He would start Kepa. So I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, they just didn't perform on the day. Arsenal, a bit of a reality check for them that they're not unbeatable. They're not unstoppable. Man City are always going to be there. And yeah, and it puts a little bit more pressure on Arsenal, because now everyone wants to see how they're going to react um, to this cup final defeat. Are they going to falter, or are they just going to make themselves stronger? Um, I do think they will win something this season. I do think they will win the league. I think the gap between Arsenal and Man City is too big now. I just do. I think Arsenal will. I think they will win the Premier League. But you never know. Stranger things have happened, so they might completely fold after that defeat. But we'll see. So yeah, that was a Carabao Cup final. And we'll now move on into the Scottish Premier League results. So on Saturday, the 21st of March, the results finished Motherwell 0, Hibs 0, Kilmarnock 2, Livingston 0, Falkirk 1, St Mirren 2, Hearts 1, Dundee 0, Rangers 4, Aberdeen 1. And then on Sunday, 22nd of March, there was one match which finished Dundee United 2, Celtic 0. So, Pearse, which match stands out to you the most?
Well, it's got to be the last game of the weekend, I think, Dundee
Yeah,
to 2, Celtic nil. Touched on the match. Before we touched on the match, I don't know about you, Tom, but I thought the pitch was atrocious in terms of for a professional club in the top flight, considering just across the road at Dens Park in Dundee, their pitch is immaculate. And I remember not too long ago that Dundee get severely fined for having an unplayable pitch. And for me, that's worse than Sunday League level. I've played in better pitches than that in terms of grass parks.
yeah,
For professional footballers to then play in that, I thought it wasn't a great spectacle. But even so, getting into the game, I thought Celtic played well in the first half, didn't take their chances, and in the second half, for whatever reason, the game just flipped on its head. I thought Dundee United looked the more dangerous. They were playing actually good football on a pitch that Celtic couldn't play football on. Celtic couldn't really string two passes together, kicking the ball to play, giving them a needless possession. And then Dundee United, anytime they went forward, they were causing them problems. And then they scored two goals. One at the first goal, Ferry at the back post, unmarked, just good play. Celtic caught the counter. And then even then, when Dundee United went 2-0 up, you thought Celtic are not going to score. I thought they're not going to come back first because they did look like scoring all afternoon, especially in the second half. The substitutions baffle me in terms of Martin O'Neill, in terms of taking off Callum McGregor, the captain. I know he just came out for injury, but and then Ian Atchell as well. I thought he actually liked to play well, and I think once you take him off, there's no focal point. Um, and like you say, I thought Jim Goodwin got the better of the two managers, and I don't think I've ever seen Martin O'Neill as angry as I've ever seen him in the touchline. I know he demands high standards, and he's been exceptional since he's came back in these two spells this season. And for Celtic to get beaten, for him to be that angry and animated inside the pitch, I don't think I've ever seen that. So that's for me, that was a surprise as well as the result. So I think for me, that was a standout game.
yeah. I'd agree. Obviously, for me, that was a standout match. A bit of a shock result, to be fair. I didn't expect Celtic to go there and get beat, but that was the case. I get what you mean about the pitch. It was a really, I mean, if you, anyone who watched the game, it was a really bad pitch. But what I will say is that Celtic have played on pitches like that before. They've also played on plastic pitches, so they sort of understand. They know what it takes and how to deal with that. It's not as if they've not come across that situation before. Um, but in terms of Celtic, I mean, I disagree a wee bit with what you say. I just don't think they played well at all throughout the whole game. From start to finish, really, they didn't really. I don't really remember them creating any good chances. You know, they passed the ball about, but even then, they weren't really good at that because they kept overpassing it and overhitting it, and you know, were really slow. Didn't really get any momentum in the attacks. Um, didn't really understand what they were trying to do with the ball, and yet it was just a really sort of nothing there performance from Celtic. And then whereas for Dundee United, I thought, I know it's their home pitch, but I thought they played conditions much better. I thought they were more threatening. Created much better chances than Celtic. And yet fully deserved their 2-0 win. And to be fair, I thought they could have scored more. To be honest. And yet for Celtic, it's a it's a pretty bad situation now. They closed the gap to 2 points against Hearts last week with Hearts losing and Celtic winning. So you were thinking with Celtic they would gain momentum, but to just go back to the way it was. So that's now 5 points behind Hearts again. and you have to sit there and say, does Celtic have what it takes to win the title this season? And for me, I don't think they do. I just don't think they're consistent enough. I don't think they can go on a run of win after win, which I think is what's going to be required to win the title this season. And I just don't see that happening with Celtic. And yet,
I
I
have to
think,
agree. I have to agree with Tom. I
yeah,
genuinely, I thought Martin Neal might be able to get them over the line, but after yesterday's performance, the fact is we've got only 7 games left, still got to play Hearts and Motherwell again. They've got to play Rangers as well.
yeah,
Uh, they've got some difficult fixtures coming up, and the fact is, like you said, you still don't know Celtic's best team, and I think 31 games into the season, that's not a title winning side. And I think it's going to be either Hearts or Rangers for me. I think Celtic's out of the title race.
yeah. I mean, I don't think I'm not mathematical out of it, and they are still. I mean, I think it would have to take a capitulation from either Hearts or Rangers to
Yeah.
sort of get Celtic to go back into the title race. Right now, I think they are. I don't think they are in the title race anymore. I think they've shown that they can't be consistent enough to stay in a title race. And yet that's their eighth defeat this season as well in the
Yeah.
league, which I can't even remember the last time Celtic had 8 defeats in one season in the league. So it just goes to show as well that I think if you have 8 defeats, I don't think you really deserve to win the title.
Yeah. It's
So
it's the last time Celtic had 8 defeats this season was the season 1990.
yeah, I mean, well, that's nearly what 30 years ago. So
Yeah.
over 30 years ago. So it's a bit crazy. It's a bit crazy. So no, I don't think they do. But I want to just touch on Dundee United quickly. As I just said, they fully deserve to win. They'd be gutted after last week. They played the Derby, the Dundee Derby. They were 2-0 up. Then Dundee scored 2 goals in the last minute, so they'd be really angry going into this match. And I thought they played really well, and they've still got a slim hope of getting into the top six. I don't think they will, but
Not for me.
it was a really good win for them. It was a really good win for them, and the Will Ferry, who plays on the left, he scored the first goal. I thought he got man of the match, and I thought he played really well. And yet a really good win for Jim Goodwin, and that's actually 2 wins. That's actually they've beaten Celtic twice this season. They beat Celtic at Tannadice back in December, and they've beaten them again in March. So
Aye,
they've
but
had a
one
really
of,
good.
one of those wins does the kids against Wilfred Nancy. Anyone can like beat him.
I'm not going to comment on that. I no, but no, they do deserve to. They do deserve to get praise because it is a good win for them. And yet, they did fully deserve it. Just sticking on Celtic, just a little bit of news with one of the players. So we found out that the Celtic goalkeeper Kasper Schmeichel, he was on the channel sports channel CBS Sports Golazo. He was being interviewed on that show during the Champions League matches, and he confirmed that he's got a really bad injury. I think it's to his shoulder, which is going to require surgery. And he's suggested, and he's probably admitting that it's probably he's not going to play football again. There's a high chance that he might not play football again. Because the surgery that he's required is going to take him out for a year. So, yeah, just want your thoughts on that, Pearse Kasper Schmeichel, potentially not playing football again.
Well, let's be honest. His best days are behind him in terms as a goalkeeper. He's 39 years of age. This is a really serious injury. But let's be honest, we all thought Craig Gordon was done when he broke his leg at the age of 40. And he's still playing at 43, potentially playing at World Cup this summer for Scotland. But on Cash Schmeichel, I think this injury's been happening for a number of months. He injured it last year when he was in international duty with against Portugal for Denmark in the Nations League final. Um, and the fact he's been taking injections and painkillers every day, and like, any fan could clearly see, or any football fan could clearly see that on one side he couldn't really dive properly. So I think as a goalkeeper, he should have had this surgery, but obviously the dream is to play for Denmark at the World Cup this summer. I don't think you can begrudge him of that, but also you need to think of the medical team and the management behind the scenes at Celtic. that the fact is they wouldn't take him out sooner and tell him to get the surgery before it get any worse. And it clearly got worse, and now he's out for 10 to 12 months. Um, and for me, he's played his last game for Celtic and possibly his last professional game. The only way I can see him continuing is maybe some club back in Denmark would take him on, or see how he is when he returns. But for me, I think he probably still has a desire to play on. But as you can see, even when he was fully fit, Father Ting doesn't let up in any man, and you can see his legs don't move the way he used to, and his powers are diminishing. So I think for me, it's a sad way to end his career if he does retire, because I think he's been one of the best goalkeepers in the Premier League for the last 10, 15 years. He's kept at Celtic. His first season at Celtic was really, really good, but I think this season's been. He's had some moments with his key moments in terms of good saves, but I think he's had far too many errors this season. I think not him solely, but he's one of the reasons why Celtic haven't hit the heights of last season in terms of mistakes at the back. And then also, like you said, the defensive front hasn't been great, and then the attack hasn't been great either. So I think it's just if that's the way he goes out, it's a sad way because he's a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant servant to the game.
Yep, I agree. He's obviously played a lot. He's had a very good long career, over 100 caps for Denmark. Was part of that Leicester team that won the Premier League. Um, you know, and obviously his latest time at Celtic won trophies there as well. So he's had a really good career, following on from his dad, Peter Schmeichel. I'll start off with I thought it was weird in terms of a Celtic point of view for him to announce this on a like an American sports channel. I thought it might have been better to sort of go through the Celtic official channels to explain the situation, because he is employed at Celtic. You know, obviously the Celtic fan, he is a Celtic goalkeeper, so I think the Celtic fans have the right to be explained to directly as to what's happened. So I thought that was a bit strange for him to go on that channel to explain this situation. But I'm not surprised with the injury, because he has come under a lot of stick, especially the last few months. And I did notice it because the way he dived for the ball, um, it didn't look right, and it did look like it did seem that he does have an injury, and this obviously confirms it. So with the age he's at now, I highly doubt he will be back. Um, I do think he's probably has played his last game, and I think he will. I think his contract runs out at Celtic in the summer, so I don't obviously think Celtic will extend. So yeah, I think that's the last we see Kasper Schmeichel, definitely in a Celtic shirt. It's been a bit of an up and down Celtic career. I think he has done well at times, but just the last this season, really, you could see that he was struggling a little bit. Um, and obviously we know the answer as to why now. But I just thought that was worth mentioning with Kasper Schmeichel's big injury. So yeah, that's the Scottish football covered. Obviously, as again after this international break, the run in's going to be really big. I think I can't remember that we've said it every week on this podcast this season, but it's so exciting at the top of the table now. It's going to be a really special end to the season in Scotland. Could Hearts really do it? Can they really hold on and win this title? Uh, they have to have confidence now with Celtic losing, and also they've got the likes of Shankland and Cammy Devlin returned.
But Hearts need to stop getting red cards. I think it's like four.
Yeah, I know they've got a big habit of getting red cards.
Aye, and
So
the amount of 1-0 wins they keep getting. It's as if they're
yeah,
playing Serie A football.
yeah, but they are winning. But then the point is, it is a win. It's not a win. So
Yeah.
they're still there in April, and we've got
But
two more games until the split. So
that can't
it
continue
really
though.
is.
That can't continue in terms of red cards.
Yeah, I do agree. But we're in the business end of the season now, so it's really exciting. And then obviously Rangers as well. They're right in there as well. Lots of players that are scoring goals. A good 4-1 win as well. So it's really hard to call. But obviously no more. in the weeks to come. So just before we move over into Asian football news, Pearse, I just want to ask your thoughts on the news we got yesterday with a former Marseille and West Ham midfielder and France international Dimitri Payet. He has announced that he is retiring from football. He last played in the Brazilian league, but I think he's with injuries and stuff. He has decided it's time to call it a day. So Dimitri Payet retiring. Pearse, what's your thoughts?
Sad day of football, I think. Obviously, an unbelievable footballer in his day in terms of that kind of creative number 10, set piece specialist. The one, especially his time at West Ham for me, watching the Premier League, I thought he was unbelievable. I thought he could have went to that next level. And I'm disappointed when he went back to Marseille, but even when he went back to Marseille, his boyhood club, he was still producing magic moments. But seeing him week in, week out in the Premier League, the goals he scored. I remember that free kick at Old Trafford in the FA Cup, the free kick for West Ham at Upton Park. It just, the fact is, it was like he was just doing magic moments on his own. He was like a Rabona assist to Mikel Antonio and stuff like that. So for me, it's a sad day. It's another one of our generations is gone in terms of retirement. But let's say he's left a brilliant legacy, and we can always look back on the clips that he had throughout his career, and obviously he's a World Cup winner with France as well. So yeah, for me, another legend that's retired.
Yep. Dimitri Payet. He's had a really good career. He's going to be known for me, in my opinion, he'll be known for them free kicks because, wow, the technique on them free kicks was unbelievable. I think West Ham supporters hold him high regard. Obviously, he was there in the last season at Upton Park. Scoring in free kicks at Upton Park, I always remember. Just so special. And he was just such a technically gifted player. Could do really cool things with the ball. As you said, he was a Marseille legend. It sort of ended a bit badly at West Ham. He obviously wanted to return, so he stopped playing for West Ham. But for me, he's going to be remembered for his free kicks because, as you just said, that one at Old Trafford's one of the best I've ever seen. Just the technique he got on and the way the ball floated into it was just unbelievable. A really fun player to watch, which I think is what every football player would love to be remembered by because I think he was. I thought he was brilliant to watch. That's him obviously retired now. He's 38 now, so I think it is quite a good age to retire anyway. But Dimitri Payet retired. And hopefully it all goes well for him after his playing career. For the final part of the show, Pearse will now give his Asian football roundup.
Yeah, so we'll start with K-League 1 action on Saturday, the 21st of March. We had one match, and it was Daejeon Hana Citizen 0, Jeonbuk Motors FC 1. Sunday, 22nd of March, we had FC Seoul 5, Gwangju FC 0, Ulsan HD FC 0, Gimcheong Sangwoo 0, FC Anyang 0, United 1, Gangwon FC 1, Jeju SK 1, Pohang Steelers 0, Bucheon FC 0. So it's leaving the table looking like this. So at the top half of the table is very tight in terms of from 6th all the way up to first place. We've got Gwangju down in 6th place on 6 points, minus 4 goal difference. Bucheon, 5th place, 6 points, 0 goal difference. Daejeon Hana Citizen in the 4th position, 6 points also with a +1 goal difference. And then the top 3 we've got Jeonbuk, 8 points in 3rd, Ulsan 2nd with 10 points, and top of the table we've got FC Seoul on 12 points. And in terms of J-League 1 action, so we had 2 matches Saturday, 21st of March, with Fagiano Okayama FC 0, V Varen Nagasaki 1, Avispa Fukuoka 2, Gambo Osaka 2, with Avispa Fukuoka winning 14-13 on penalties. Sunday, the 22nd of March, we've got Shimizu Espel 3, Sanfrecce Hiroshima 1, Kyoto Sanga FC 1, Nogo Grampus 1, with Kyoto Sanga FC winning 5-4 on penalties. Tokyo Verde 0, FC Tokyo 0, the Tokyo Derby, with Tokyo Verde winning 4-2 on penalties. Cerezo Osaka 1, Vissel Kobe 1, with Cerezo Osaka winning 6-5 on penalties. Kashima Antlers 2, JF United Chiba 1, Kawasaki Frontale 0, Yokohama F Mariners 5. Kasper Schmeichel 3, Mito Hollyhock 0, Ura Diamonds 1, and Machida Zelvia 2. So in terms of the East Division, Cash Rattlers top of the table, 22 points, romping it so far after 8 games. Second, we've got FC Tokyo on 16 points, and in third, we've got Machida Zelvia on 15 points, but having played a game less than Tokyo on 7 games. And from 7th all the way down to 10th, we've got Yokohama Manos, 9 points in 7th place. The bottom three, we've got Kashiruso and Mito Hollyhock both on 8 points, separate by just 4 goals. And at rock bottom, newly promoted side, Jeff United Chiba on 5 points. A little bit cut adrift at the moment. In terms of the West Division, Tom, this has got to be one of the most exciting divisions. So from all the way from 9th to 1st, they're separated by 3 points. It's mad, mad.
That's
So,
mental, yeah.
bottom of the table, Kyoto Sanga FC, 14 points, plus 2 goal difference. Second, Gambo Osaka, 14 points, 0 goal difference. Third, Vissel Kobe, plus 5 goal difference, 13 points. Shimizu Pulse, plus 2 goal difference, 13 points. Nagoya Grampus, plus 1 goal difference, 13 points. So the top 5, set by ball 1 point, mental. 6th place, V Varen Nagasaki on 12 points, minus 1 goal difference. Sanfrecce Hiroshima, Fajano Okayama, and Seizo Osaka, all on 11 points. So that's 7th, 8th, 9th position, and they're separated by just 1 goal. Madness. And at the bottom of the table, the Witten boys of the table so far, Avita Fukuoka, minus 10 goal difference, 5 points. And to wrap up the Asian football news, so with some exciting news in terms of football kit collectors, Japan have unveiled their away kit for this summer's World Cup. The differently coloured stripes symbolise colours beyond the horizon. That's the mantra they're going with the striped graphic featuring 12 colours, 11 colours representing each player, while the centre red stripe symbolise the Japanese football family. And also, South Korea have released both the home and away kit for the 2026 World Cup. The home jersey draws from the mythical white tiger, blending power and heritage into a sleek, modern camouflage design. The away kit brings a completely different energy with vibrant floral graphics and bold purple hues, inspired by Korea's artistic evolution. So have you seen any of those jerseys, Tom?
Really?
Have you seen any of those the new tops for Japan and South Korea?
I haven't, no. I haven't, no. I've seen some from like Europe, but I haven't seen like any of the Asian football countries take it. They're nice.
Yeah, I think the Japan one's all right, but I think for me, the pick of the 3 kits that have just been released is got to be the South Korea's away kit.
Yeah.
It looks like cherry blossom, so for me, it's one of those kind of unique pieces that I'll be definitely trying to get my hands on.
Egypt, I know Egypt. Oh well, there you go. That's a plug. That's a plug for South Korea. From South Korea. Get their tops.
Well, that's us all from Asian football news. Hand you back over to Tom.
Thank you, Pearse, and thank you everyone for listening to this episode of the Football Chuggu Podcast. This podcast will be available to listen to on the Football Chuggu YouTube channel and also the Football Chuggu website. Thanks for listening and see you soon.
Bye bye.